US, Russia, Pakistan, and many other countries are interested to stop the war in Afghanistan. And even India is going to join the meeting. But how is India concerned with something happening in Afghanistan? Hello everyone,
I'm Rahul Devdhar.
I am Prasanna Naidu and you are listening to the Right Views podcast. So, recently the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken has sent a letter to Afghan politicians, specifically to the President of Afghanistan and to the Chairman of the High Peace Council, urging an acceleration of peace talks and urging on a more comprehensive roadmap for the peace process in Afghanistan. So we'll get back to this letter, but before, let's understand what's happening in Afghanistan and what has happened till now. What is this war going on and why is it going on and between whom is it going on? So Rahul sir, can you just tell us about the history of it, how it all started? Because this is a war which I've heard is going on for more than 20 years, which is very long, at least in this period we live in. So please tell us about that history a bit.
Actually, 20 years, it is actually at least going on for 40 years, if not more.
Okay.
Just to give a brief background, what happened was back in 1970s, sort of Russia was promoting the communist dictator who was also the cousin of one of the sort of leaders of Afghanistan, and they were promoting that fellow, and he took over from that sort of king, quasi-king, whatever you want to call it, and he was ruling that place. And America was trying to get a foothold into that. And Russia, there was also a Communist Party of Afghanistan where basically, the Communist Party took over from this general. He was killed and Communist Party took over. And there was internal conflict between those who wanted a progressive communist rule, because the communism which the general had espoused was sort of like Iranian communism, which is sort of Iranian rule, which was like liberal women going to college and all that, and versus the traditional Islamist within that region. So there were clashes, and to quell the clashes, Soviet troops entered Afghanistan, and that prompted Americans to sort of help one group, guerrilla group, and they created what is called Taliban today. But that was time they were called Mujahideen. So there was the Mujahideen group, which later became Taliban, was created this Mujahideen group was created by the US to fight against the Russian occupation of Afghanistan. And this sort of laid the foundation for guerrilla warfare and training and weapons into Afghanistan. Also development of what you call drugs and crop, opium and other crops to pay for these fighters. That was also initiated. And all these developments started basically around 1980s. And then by 1989, there was the first accord, peace accord, if you can call it that, where Russia, America, Pakistan and Afghanistan, 4 parties were involved, and Russia agreed to remove its troops from Afghanistan. In a couple of years after that, Soviet Russia sort of disintegrated into a variety of component state, the Commonwealth of the present Commonwealth, that is presently different combination of groups of nations. And then these the Mujahideen fighters, they were left there, and America, basically they were sort of left there, and they started now creating America as their enemy, going along the Islamic lines. And that is the rise of Osama bin Laden, where Osama was basically one of the fighters involved in this Mujahideen group. And Al Qaeda was started by Osama to fight against the Russians, and that later turned into a fight against the Americans. And this was going on, they were fighting each other. I mean, but like consulate of America was attacked, ambassador of US was killed, and all sorts of things were happening. But 9/11 was the decisive moment where it turned against the Afghans, where US then landed troops in Afghanistan to sort of capture Osama bin Laden. And then this continued, the bombing of Afghanistan and all these things were continuing till they finally into 2014 they found Osama hiding in Pakistan. So then after Osama was found, now there was no reason to sort of stay in Afghanistan. But the process of bombing Afghanistan and creating these diversions, what happened was now there was a power vacuum. So the first communist general, he had been killed. There were two parties. Now there are multiple parties within there. One is the government of Afghanistan, which was installed by the US as the government of Afghanistan. Then there is Taliban, which is the ex-Mujahideen group, which created its own fighting force, which controls some of these areas in the rural and hinterlands. Then there are warlords and tribals which came together and which are basically in the northeast region of Pakistan and Afghanistan, which is basically a mishmash. There is no known border. I mean, there is a border, but there is no specific border because it's very porous border, and these tribal warlords, they thrive there. So this warlord group is, let's say, one famous one is the Haqqani network, which basically is like a quasi, it's a gunda operation. Basically, they do kidnapping, extortion, all these things. They do supply drugs and all. So this is that warlord group is there. Then there is new development, which is the Islamic State, which is I think it's Islamic State of Khorasan or something is there. So that is there. And these are the parties within Afghanistan which are at loggerheads with each other. So these are the four parties. Initially there were two. One was the communist and one was non-communist. Now there are four. And US is there supporting the government of Afghanistan, the formal government of Afghanistan. And US is against Taliban and against Al Qaeda and against Islamic State. But now it wants to go out. So it's like a market when there is a fight in the market and a strongman sort of separates the two fighting parties. So it's like there were 3-4 fighting parties and the strongman, which is the US, it's separated, and now the strongman wants to go back to his home, and these 3-4 are going to be left in the market. So you can imagine what is going to happen. So that is the state. Now US wants to go back because it doesn't want to put its people in harm's way, because these people will continue to fight, is what US believes. And US being present there, all these Taliban, ISIS means Islamic State of that Khorasan or something. Those guys and warlords, all of them try to attack US. So basically, what you have is a combination of everyone wants to attack US, and that they don't want. They are losing lives for no reason. So they want to go or remove their troops from there. Now, if they remove the troops, there will be again violence. So that is the reason for having a peace agreement. So that I am going home, you don't fight. That's the agreement that they are going to have.
Okay.
And the thing is that the parties, not just these parties, but there are the parties which are involved in this peace process are as diverse as, you have You have US, you have China, you have Pakistan, you have Russia, you have Iran, and you have India. So all these are together in this, you can say, place to negotiate. But the four parties which are already there, so mostly this will be a discussion between the government of Afghanistan, the Taliban, and all these parties. Now they cannot formally discuss, they will have some sort of a discussion going on. But the other party, the warlords, are not being consulted. They have their own difference of opinion. The Islamic State is actually, it's designated as an enemy outfit. Al Qaeda itself is also a designated enemy outfit. So all these things, and then there are new terrorist networks which are trying to come up in this place. So the thing is, all these parties also need to be involved, and these parties, basically it means that the government of Afghanistan and Taliban will not fight with each other, and they will fight against the warlords, they will fight against the Al-Qaeda and the ISIS of Khorasan. So this is what it aims to achieve. And because all of these fighters are being sponsored or helped by various parties, that's why all the interested parties are there.
But one thing so Mujahideen was created by US, which later became Taliban, and now it's against the US.
And Al-Qaeda. Taliban and Al-Qaeda, part of them both are from Mujahideen heritage.
So, but what happened which made the circumstances change this way and people turn away?
Basically, for America, everyone is there for their own benefit. So America did not want sort of spread of communism. That's why America was trying to create a front against Soviet Russia in Afghanistan. That's why they created the Mujahideen. And to create Mujahideen, they helped Pakistan. So now the thing is that Pakistan got aid, arms, and a mechanism to sort of earn a commission on everything. And Pakistan didn't want to give that up. It could divert this aid and weapons to its own benefit against India. So it got concessional fighter planes, it got concessional, rifles, ammunition.
It got a lot of aid from US.
And still it gets a lot of aid from US. So
I guess after Trump, it has reduced a lot, no?
Correct. So what happened was, these Pakistanis wanted to keep this aid business going. Okay. And they were also earning by creating or sort of trading the drugs and other opium and other hashish, heroin, opium, all these kinds of things from Afghanistan. So they were earning on both sides. So they wanted to keep this going. Now the problem is that after Soviet Russia sort of left, US had no intent of going anywhere. So they then focused on drug trade, these groups. But Taliban, out of that Mujahideen fighters, which were basically created out of religious fighters. The Mujahideen means one who is already dead, basically. So they perform their last rites and they are designated as fighters for the religion. So now they were very religious because they had to be religious. They had to be trained to be religious. And now they were going, without job, without earning, nothing to do. And they were supposed to, do the drug trade. So they found that this is not good. So they fought against everyone. Now Pakistan used this to their advantage and created sort of this instability in Afghanistan, because then they can keep this thing going. Now this was going fine till in the 90s when this Al-Qaeda and Taliban were attacking US, because Pakistan was feeding them this kind of narrative that actually we are not doing anything. The US has created and now it has left you high and dry. So they got and they were fighting the US now. So 9/11 really turned things around for US, because US was ignoring Afghanistan to a certain extent because they didn't want to be involved. But after 9/11, they really went into the Afghan region to sort of seek out Osama, and that took 14 years to search Osama, and they found him in Pakistan. And you can imagine, if US wanted to find Osama, and Pakistan was helping US find Osama, and Osama was in Pakistan. So you can imagine who is helping whom. So US never found Osama. And they were always thinking, why is it that we can't find Osama? You can find every other fellow but except Osama. So because the main person who was their guide, that person himself was the interested party on the opposing side. So basically Pakistan was playing a double game, and after 2014, again the same scenario happened. Now US has no interest in staying in Afghanistan. So Pakistan creates all this trouble in Afghanistan so that US has to stay. Now there is a good military industrial complex in Afghanistan, in US. The military industrial complex in US is interested in keeping the Afghan fight alive. Okay. So they have an interest. Now the question is is it going to be helpful for US to stay, because people are dying? So Trump said we don't want to stay, let them die. If Taliban wants to kill Afghanistan, Afghanistan wants to kill Taliban, we are not interested, we are not going to stay. So basically Trump said that I don't want to be in Afghanistan, I want to get out of there. Now that is the premise where it all started. If now US wants to get out of Afghanistan, now what to do? How to get out? That is the only exit, because there was, when Obama went in, there was no exit strategy. How will you, regime change is fine, but how will you exit? See, China has a plan. Okay, when if China attacks or occupies a land, it has a plan to rule it. When it attacked Tibet, it wanted to rule Tibet. So this is for US. US didn't want to occupy and rule Afghanistan. So what is the objective of going in there? So just bomb the hell and get out. So then now they are getting out. But now if they leave, the whole process will look very, it will look very stupid actually. That you are leaving the whole area without any thing. But presence of US actually created a lot of international interest for variety of players, and that is also a different point, because now US views Afghanistan as in 1984 as an anti-communist frontier. Now it has become part of the Middle East anti-Iran frontier. So Iran thinks that America is there because it wants to be against Iran. Okay. So Iran is sponsoring people, instigating some rebels to attack Americans. Now Iran has no other interest, because for Iran this region is actually a wasteland. The border of Afghanistan, Iran, Afghanistan and Iran, Pakistan. Those areas are not really valuable for Iran. Those are, like the area of Turkmenistan, that side is important. The area near Caspian Sea is important. The area down at the Persian Gulf is important. But these areas which are close to Pakistan, that is the Balochistan side where the Chabar port is, which India has, and the areas bordering Afghanistan, they are basically not much. It's a refugee area rather than anything. So it has no sort of value for Iran. But presence of America makes them worried. So they are interested in sort of diffusing America there. So because then they will be encircled. America is there in Iraq. Okay, America or Syria. America is there here. So they feel encircled. So that is their interest.
But one thing which is hovering over my mind is, after finding Osama in Pakistan, did US take any stringent steps against Pakistan? Because I don't think so. right?
Yes, they
Or
gave them
maybe some
aid.
sanctions or something.
Yeah, they gave them more aid.
Because like it's like after maybe you told 15, 16 years they find him there,
Yeah.
and he was something the most wanted in amongst American intelligence, and like so the steps which was expected even in American people's mind, that the government must do this or that, whatever. They must have kind of disappeared Pakistan in the international forums, or at least targeted them, or maybe some action in the international organizations like the United Nations or something. But do you know of any such action taken?
So some actions they have tried to take. So basically they have put Pakistan, which was a favored ally, into something called as the Financial Action Task Force, the FATF. Now it's in Pakistan is in the grey list. So as of now, only Iran and I think one other country, North Korea maybe, both are in the blacklist. But Pakistan is in the grey list. That is their sort of action. The second thing it did is it opened US to the idea of what India was telling them. And India has always been telling US, and India always gives a confusing message. It's not like a direct, precise message, but it's a sort of a confusing message that India gave, that you should look at Afghanistan not as an extension of Middle East. Like it's not like Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan. Not like that. But you should look at it as India, Pakistan, Afghanistan more than anything. So the nature of Afghanistan is completely different from the nature of Iran and others. So US always sort of gets into this as a oil and military related issue and comes from Middle East. Okay. So this becomes a big problem for US. Secondly, what India has always been telling US is that you have got you are in alliance with the wrong party. And Afghanistan also has been telling them the same thing. Okay. That you are in alliance with the wrong party. Pakistan is the one which is creating this instability in Afghanistan. And India has also been telling, but they always ignored India because India was Pakistan, India was always a problem. So, listening to India on Pakistan would be problematic. But listening to Afghanistan on this was also problematic because they were getting conflicting signals from everywhere. Now the issue is that as of now, if you see, both Afghanistan and India have been saying that Pakistan is the problem. You take care of Pakistan and this Afghanistan situation will turn around. Because Pakistan is sponsoring Taliban, because Taliban helps Afghanistan remain unstable. Okay. Now once it is unstable, Pakistan doesn't have to worry on Afghanistan. It has to only worry about India. Okay. Now an unstable Afghanistan is good for Pakistan, because India is stable on the other side. Now, if you look at it from this way, it is Pakistan who is creating instability in Afghanistan. So, everyone, including Iran, is now telling them, Pakistan, you deal with Pakistan, all these problems will get sorted automatically. But Trump understood this finally. So, he wanted to just eliminate this all aid business to Pakistan. So he in fact cut off Pakistan from all the aid, all the military sort of joint, they have joint exercises with Pakistan, US. He cut off Pakistan from all these and then was going towards isolating Pakistan. But Biden came in, Biden is pro-Pakistan because all his team members are pro-Pakistan. So that creates a problem for India because now again America has started...
And why is that so? Why do you think that?
Why do you think that Biden is pro-Pakistan?
Yeah. Biden and his teammates.
All his teammates are from, Pakistan, sort of, they toe the Pakistani line.
Okay.
Their group, advisors or whatever you want to call it, they are all like former Hillary that what is her name? She was aide for Hillary. She is also a Pakistani. So there are many people who favor Pakistan. Like basically non-resident Pakistanis or people who are on pay of Pakistan, and these are all there. So I mean, it's not going to be a good idea. Biden is not understood this properly. So Biden is going to. I mean, I don't know how much he will give importance to intelligence and whatever he will do, but till he isolates Pakistan, the Afghanistan issue will be in problem. The good part is that they were not even going to involve India in this group of Afghanistan because Russia is there. Russia has always been there. Okay, Russia has got no skin in the game technically, but Russia is countering US in Syria in US fight against ISIS, or Russia's fight against ISIS, and US sometimes fights ISIS and sometimes fights its own allies, and it is sort of a front for Russia. It is like a front. So Russia, let's talk about, let's say, interest of Russia. So Russia thinks Russia is countering, Russia and US or West and Russia are in conflict with each other in Chechnya, in Ukraine, in Syria, and this is one more front. So Russia is using this as one more piece in the puzzle. Okay. So Russia has got not that much influence and they have got history with Afghanistan. Apart from that, there is no direct relevance of Russia. China is involved because the China-Pakistan economic corridor is just hop, skip and jump away from there. And all these warlords are creating trouble in that part of CPEC also. Now they have been paid and all, but they are creating problems. So they want this business to be taken care of. China is also eyeing all the minerals in Afghanistan, but they want to sort of bribe someone, but there are too many parties currently to bribe, and Afghanistan has perfected this art of taking money from multiple sources and doing what they want, not what from opposing parties they take money and they do what they want. So that is their sort of skill. Now Pakistan is there because Pakistan wants to be discussed how they want instability in Afghanistan. India is there because India wants a stable Afghanistan. Okay. Now India has got only one agenda. Once Afghanistan is settled, then you will not get aid into Pakistan for trying to get that sorted. So aid comes to Pakistan to sort Afghanistan, and they siphon off that aid and tackle India. So that whole thing will go away. In fact, if you see the timelines, the Punjab terrorism started in 84, 85 or 1980s based on this only. And Kashmir terrorism, so the fighters also were imported in Kashmir. So these were the Talibani and other Mujahideen fighters which were used in Afghanistan. They were free. And they knew only one thing, to fight. So they were brought in. So this is the thing which Pakistan is doing. So India wants it to isolate that. So once if only Pakistan we have to deal with, then it's easier. So India is helping Afghanistan, we built their parliament, we want to create humanitarian aid. But we don't want troops there because our troops will go into it will be sandwiched. On one side it will be Taliban, other side it will be Pakistan. So our troops will get into big trouble. So US is also getting into that sandwich position. So that is the problem. Our advantage is that if we were to deal with Taliban, we can deal with Taliban alone. If we were to deal with Pakistan, we can deal with Pakistan alone. But we can't sit between Taliban on one side and Pakistan on the other side. That's the worst position. Iran is our ally. So we can, if we sit if let's say Pakistan is not a problem, if we just want to control and eliminate Taliban, We can go into Afghanistan and Iran will help us and we'll eliminate all this Talibani problem. We have no problem with that. America can't go there because America's problem with Iran. So Obama's strategy was that we will make peace with Iran and try to affect Afghanistan. But Iran is also chalu. So Iran will have its own, Iran played its own double game with America. So Trump said no business, nothing doing, we will just get out of there. We will not try to sort things out for others. Let others sort themselves out. And what will they do? We are not giving them money, we are not giving them guns, and we are not telling them who to fight. You do what you want. That's the idea. But this strategy of letting people do what they want, they adopted in Syria, and ISIS came along. So it was Al Qaeda of Syria that turned into ISIS.
Achha.
So that became a bigger problem. So now they don't want ISIS to gain a stronghold in this. India also doesn't want a form of Islamic State to turn up in Afghanistan. So that is our interest. Pakistan doesn't mind so long as they can be controlled. But Pakistan is also, against ISIS because ISIS is against the Pakistani army.
I mean, what is it much of a difference? Because we already have Taliban there, which is, so it is I guess terrorist organization, right?
Taliban is a terrorist organization. But Taliban is like X-level terrorist organization. It's a organized, it is not causing international terrorism. Okay. It is terrorizing their own people. So it's like a thug party, you can call it.
Okay.
So it is trying to enforce all these Sharia laws, stoning people, all these things they are trying to enforce in Afghanistan. They're killing other people in Afghanistan. That all things they are doing. So these Bamiyan Buddhas and all these, this Al Qaeda and Taliban, they only are doing all these.
Okay, so if you are saying that if something like ISIS starts there,
now ISIS is like a completely bonkers idea. Okay, ISIS is not a. See, these are Afghanis trying to run a state, not an Islamic state, but a state according to Sharia law or something like that.
So from what I understand, they want power of that particular land, Afghanistan.
They want power, okay. But the ISIS, they are trying to create another, they are trying to create a whole new monster, which is an international sort of Islamic kingdom of sorts.
Okay.
And they are going, so that is a completely different, because then Pakistan cannot exist separate. Then Afghanistan cannot exist separately. If ISIS says, I am ISIS. So that's the problem. Once you are ISIS, then all Islamic countries are to be subsumed in ISIS. Now that Pakistan military, maybe whatever, but they don't want ISIS. They want their own kingdom. So this is the complication.
And so what? This is just out of curiosity, which came to my mind. So we have seen Islamic countries supporting Islamic countries just on the basis of that it is an Islamic country. Okay, and there are different types. Like there is a Sunni majority country, Shia majority country. So they have their different fights and they support their own clan. Like Sunni majority country will support a Sunni majority country and things like that. So to solve this problem, I can't see much of these Islamic countries coming ahead and try to solve this problem. And US on one side and sometimes Russia and India are trying to solve it. Why is that so? What do you think?
Let's not go there because that problem is a Middle East problem.
Okay, so you are saying that they have their own thing so much,
it's a bigger
so
problem.
They can't focus.
There is a cartoon. I think there is an economist had a cartoon, okay, of the situation in Middle East, where everyone was pointing a gun to everyone else, and nobody knew, like who is the real enemy of whom. Okay. So that is the complication. So, and then there is Israel also in the mix. Okay. So all these kinds of things are there. So let's not get into it, because the minute you get into it, it will be like a big problem. So that's why once you put Afghanistan in Middle East, that problem becomes, it doesn't have a solution. But if you pair Afghanistan with the Indian subcontinent, where it should be paired, then you will understand that the problem is Pakistan. And you eliminate Pakistan, things will become really smooth for Afghanistan and even half Iran, because Iran is Shia. Okay, so Iran, Iraq are Shia dominated. Rest of all the people around them, I mean, some parts of Yemen and all, 10%, 20%, but majority Shia are Iran and Iraq. Rest of them are basically, Sunnis. Even Afghanistan is Sunni. Pakistan is Sunni. India also, Muslims are Sunnis. Very few Shias. When I'm talking about majority Muslim. So basically the problem is very different for these people. And this is not a fight between Sunnis of Afghanistan and Shias of Iran. It's not a fight like that. The fight is Iran has a big area between Pakistan border and Afghanistan, Pakistan and Iran. That border area is like a useless sort of for Iran technically, and not useless, but it is not that great area. It's a desert, semi-desert kind of area. So that area, it doesn't contribute much to Iran. It may have oil, but it's always want on. There is some issue or the other. The critical part of this struggle is that because Pakistan creates instability in Afghanistan, these fighters, the refugees all turn up in Iran and they create a problem there. That's why Iran doesn't want this. They are having problem on Iraq side and Syria side that they will handle. But this problem they don't want. So they are happy if India gets into Afghanistan and cleans it up. But they are not happy with America cleaning it up. It's all complication. All different complication.
So, but now, as from what I understand, communism is kind of reduced much in Russia, which was there before, like at the USSR time, right? Mm-hmm. So, why is Russia taking much interest here now?
See, that's the reason. Russia has got one main problem which they want to fight. Okay, because they have their own Muslim population in Chechnya and all that. So they want to fight the ISIS, the Islamic State. Okay, and they have entered Middle East for oil and ISIS. Basically, oil they don't need. They want sort of routes into Europe and to fight Islamic State. Okay. Now America is against Russia in this place, Syria, where Putin has been telling America, you are on the wrong side of the fight. You are sponsoring the very people who are fighting against your own troops. How are you doing that? So all these things are going on, but America has got a mindset ki we hate Russia. That's the whole mindset. Okay, where it comes from, I don't know. I mean, USSR, yes, but and Russia is also sort of, it is also naughty boy, let's call it. Okay. So, Russia is also not free from blame. Now, what has happened is that if you want to counter Russia, so US wants to interfere Russia wants to interfere in Ukraine, where NATO comes into play. Ukraine. So, there US and Russia are against each other. Then there is Chechnya. Then there is, killing of these spies in London and US, where they have killed Russian spies. Okay. And then they are in Syria. So all these pieces are, you can say, against US. Russia playing a game against US. So US also wants to play against Russia. And that's why, US was in Afghanistan. Now Russia is in Afghanistan because US is in Afghanistan. Because Russia is using Afghanistan as a piece in the chess game. Like that. So this is, there are multiple conflicts. This is a US-Russia conflict. One of which part is in Afghanistan. One is in Syria, one is in Chechnya, one is in Ukraine, one is in other places. Okay, this is US-Russia conflict. There is a US-Iran conflict, which is why Iran is interfering in Afghanistan. Okay, now that conflict, US-Iran conflict, is playing under different places where US is sort of triggering Iran. Iran is triggering Yemen to attack US ally Saudi. So Saudi is trying to instigate US into attacking Iran. So that game is being played there. Okay, that is a Sunni versus Shia game. Okay, which they are playing. And ISIS is involved in the middle. So all these things is there. In between US, there is a conflict between Iran and Israel, Saudi Arabia and Israel. Okay, which is basically Jews and Islam. Okay, in that US is with Israel, and US was against its own ally Saudi Arabia against Israel. It was against Iran against Israel. So Trump managed to convince the Saudi group to get into alliance with Israel so that angle is sorted out. But now I think that also Biden will undo to a certain extent by blaming this MBS, Mohammed bin Salman, Crown Prince of Saudi. So anyway, so that is another third conflict which has a leg in Afghanistan. Then there is a conflict between Taliban and US, or Al-Qaeda and US, that is playing out in Afghanistan, where Pakistan is acting on both sides. So that is also there. So multiple conflicts and multiple dimensions, and one of the theater is Afghanistan.
Okay, so it just came to my mind is who people who started all these, like the troublemakers mostly in Middle East and US and Russia. They have read Mahabharata a lot, I think. That's why it's so complicated now.
No, it's like multiple circles are there, which is conflict circles.
And multiple...
And they all intersect in Afghanistan.
Stakeholders involved.
Yeah. So they all multiple stakeholders. No, this is again a little different from Iraq. Okay. So Iraq, what has happened is there are multiple players. There are Syrians, there are what are they called? Kurdish elements are there. Then there are ex-Iraqi armies. Then there are all sorts of people are there. So there are multiple actors and multiple sponsors of that region. So US is sponsoring some rebels. Russia is sponsoring some rebels. Israel is doing some its naughty thing. Some other Iran is sponsoring some rebels. And all of them are fighting each other. Okay, so there are multiple actors and multiple sponsors. Okay, so that can be understood to a certain extent. There are like you are sponsoring 3 people. I am sponsoring 2 people. These are separate people. Okay, and sometimes these 2 people, one of which I am sponsoring and one of which you are sponsoring, they come together and attack the third person, or they attack one of your people. It all happens. Okay. So this is what is happening in the Middle East. In Afghanistan, the actors are limited. There are 3 or 4 actors. Okay, but sponsors are many. US is there, Russia is there, China is there, Iran is there. I don't know who all are there. So there are many sponsors, but the actors are few, and they must be taking money from many fronts. So don't be surprised if you find that you are sponsoring Taliban. Pakistan is also sponsoring Taliban. India is sponsoring Al-Qaeda. I mean, India is not doing anything because India cannot get into that mess. But like Iran may be sponsoring Al-Qaeda. You never know. All convoluted. Al-Qaeda may be acting against US and taking money from US through Pakistan. All these conflicts. But there are a number of actors are limited. So this is the difference between Iraq and Afghanistan. Here multiple actors, multiple sponsors. Here limited actors and multiple sponsors. and cross sponsorship. So Haqqani network,
And they don't don't even know about that.
and Haqqani network is like maybe sponsoring drugs to America, we don't know, or Europe, and they may be paying the money to Taliban or to Al Qaeda or to all these things are going on. So complications basically, and the whole critical mess is in Pakistan. You eliminate that, Afghanistan will settle down. That's the simple short.
Exactly, and I don't know. I mean, why Americans are not taking stern action against Pakistan, because whatever actions you told me they have taken are very kind of loose. I mean,
They started taking action against Pakistan, and that's where China stepped in. Trump started taking action against Pakistan, and that's where China stepped in. And with the CPEC, and China is basically, now yesterday I read that UAE also has demanded its loan back. So all these Sunni countries were giving loan to Pakistan. Now after Trump, they have started asking for their money back, and only one person is giving money to Pakistan, and that is China. And that is because they are taking that CPEC and all the land along with it. They want to take. Now, if you are taking CPEC and taking that land, then you are going to have a problem. So India is worried about that CPEC because it goes through POK. That we want to avoid. Then we have CPEC. The security of CPEC is threatened by Balochistan on the southern side, the tribal leaders of Afghanistan on the northern side, and in between there is not much gap. Okay, so basically it is threatened. And at the Gwadar port, we have an Indian naval presence in Chabar port. So this is the combination. So India and China also are in conflict, and one of the theatre is in Afghanistan. You can say. It's mostly in Pakistan, but the effect is in Afghanistan.
Okay. So I think that's enough for today's discussion. We'll talk about the letter for some time. So according to the letter, there's some short-term plan which would pave way for a 90-day violence reduction to prevent Taliban attacks in spring season. So the position of ordinary and non-political people seems conformist to the new US approach, the Biden approach. And the second part of people seems more skeptics, like some people are skeptic about this, and the other plan in the country. They prefer the minimum security than no security. So they want some of those US military personnel over there instead of all of them leaving the land and going away. Because obviously, I think the Taliban presence is more in the southern Afghanistan and the US is present in the northern thing, right?
Taliban is present in that what is called the Helmand province, I think. Helmand. It's in the south.
Southern mostly. So my question is here that how will this violence reduction happen? Because how can we trust Taliban, because previously it has been pledged to reduce violence, and they have not followed they had also pledged to disconnect from international terrorism such as Daesh and Al Qaeda, but we have like international and national evidences show that they have not acted upon their commitment. So why people like these countries think that now they will act upon their commitment?
See, they are not going to act on their commitment. What will happen is that the flag under which the attack comes will not be Taliban. It will be called some other, Mujahideen organization. It doesn't matter. They are all same in the background. So it's like Pakistan. When you say that Jaish-e-Mohammed is the terrorist organization, then they come out with something other. They say that now this new company has come in, which is called, some other, JKLF or something. Some other, group comes out. And that is now the main terrorist. So, till they get banned, then third one comes in. The people are the same. वो जैसा है ना कि वो एक ही टीम है, एक बार T20 खेलती है तो तुम बोलते हो कि इंडिया का T20 टीम है, वही टीम दूसरी बार खेलते हैं तो तुम बोलते हो ये मुंबई इंडियन का टीम है, ये दिल्ली कैपिटल का टीम है। ऐसा अलग अलग कुछ कुछ है और सेम है, लोग सेम है। It's not like there is going to be some different people, but there's not going to be any peace. Definitely, what
Until and unless
US is going to do is
until unless they target Pakistan.
No, they won't target Pakistan. So what the idea is basically what Biden is trying to do is he is trying to sort of commit to some sort of a reduction in troops, which was already promised. So that is what he will do. And then he will take the media attention to some other place. Now, if the military-industrial complex really pushes him to start again a war in Afghanistan, then he will say that there is an attack on some, US thing. It will happen. Okay, some attack or the other will happen. Okay, once that happens, he will again say that now we have to take revenge. So again, from whatever, now I think some 13,000 troops, US troops are there, total something like that. So that will now turn into 50,000 troops. So it will not end. Until and unless you tackle Pakistan, you will not end anything in Afghanistan. So this is going to go on till Pakistan goes bankrupt.
Okay, and that will happen only when these countries which are sponsoring Pakistan will stop providing aid.
The main problem you have to strike, no? You have to strike at the root, not strike at the branches. So all these are branches.
Yeah.
So until you strike at the root, you will not get that advantage.
Right. Okay. I think we have enough of
confusion.
People, enough information and confusion in people in our listeners' mind. So I'll also read up more on this because this has made me more curious about what's happening there and why it is happening more. So I'll read up more, and I hope our listeners also, because I am sure that this discussion, if they listen to it properly, would have made them curious about this whole thing, because it is more connected to like international politics, obviously, but also India a lot, because what happens there will change national politics in India too, right?
It will create a lot of peace in India. If Afghanistan becomes peaceful, then we can safely deal with Pakistan on its own. But Pakistan is creating. Anyway, that's a separate topic, how to deal with Pakistan.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you.